So, Bob, start with just getting into Big 12 conference play. What are things that you don't know until you start conference play?
Well, obviously we've watched film, so with K-State being the first game, we've watched a lot of K-State early on, but I mean, you really don't know anything. I think, from what I understand, I think the football team plays a bowl game the same day that we play K-State. So I would assume that it won't be the packed house that it would be if there wasn't a bowl game going the same day.
What do you know? Yeah. What about your own team in that regard? Are there things you don't know until you get into Big 12 player? I mean, you're 12, 13 games into this. Or do you know most of what you know about your club?
I think we're getting better. When you put together a bunch of guys that have come from different ways of doing things. Eric's been at 3 different schools, so we're trying to get those guys to understand what we want done.
From back there.
Yeah. And the same way really with all of them. I think that the one guy that knows what's going on is Emmett. Haven't been here for 3 years. I think Trey's kind of the same way, but they're getting better and better. I think probably in the last week, I think those 2 guys have improved tremendously just in their understanding of what we want done.
Let's go to Kevin Kinder.
Coach, looking at K-State stats a little bit, they've got an impressive assist to made baskets ratio. Looks like they move the ball and pass it really well. Defensively, when you're trying to combat that, are there 1 or 2 things you want to do? Keep the ball on one side, away from certain players? What are your defensive keys to going against that?
We'd like to keep it out of the little fella's hands because he's the one making the passes. He's the one penetrating with the ball. He's the one drawing defenders, and he's a terrific passer. So, I think the vast majority of what happens from people getting other people open comes from him.
And you mentioned Emmett. Any updates on his status? Will he at least travel?
He's going to play, man. He's ready to go.
A reminder to use the raised hand feature. Let's go to John.
All right, I'm on mute here. Hey, Baylor, is this what we're going to see from Kansas State? A lot similar to what you saw from Baylor with Tang and the weight coming from that system?
No, not really.
No.
I think he has his own. His own ideas. They're running really good stuff. Not that Scott doesn't, but it's not. It's Scott's was more 3 out and 2 in, where I think his bigs are a lot more versatile than what the bigs were at Baylor.
Completely different team.
And they can bounce it.
Yeah, looking at last year's Big 12 tournament, they have 2 players back. You have 3 players back. And it looks like Keontae Johnson's really made a huge difference for them.
Well, I mean, he was a McDonald's All-American. He was the best player Florida had. Actually, when he went down is really when they really struggled. And he can shoot it and he can bounce it and he can pass it.
When he came available, were you interested in him at all?
It was a touchy deal.
Yeah, because of the health, right?
Because of the health situation. Yeah.
Reading it looks like it took him 2 years to get cleared.
Probably every bit of it.
Yeah.
That was really a hard thing to just to see, when he went down. And then you read what happened in the interim between then and now. And I mean, the kid's been through a lot.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Greg Hunter.
So Bob, most years, not every year, but most years you've started off conference play with this 2-game road swing. Do you like this, and how important has it been to the overall success of the team getting a couple games and often having gotten a couple of wins on the road to begin with?
Well, I'd feel a whole lot better about it if it wasn't backed up by Kansas and Baylor. I mean, we certainly need to win on the road because, generally you think, okay, we come home and we play, so-and-so. We're coming home playing the 2 best teams in the conference for the last however many years.
Let's go to Justin Jackson.
Hey, Coach, good morning. I was just wondering, you mentioned Noel there a little bit for Kansas State, and obviously he runs a lot of their offense, and his assist numbers are pretty good, but he's also statistically he's turning the ball over a little bit more than other point guards in the Big 12. So I'm just kind of wondering, what do you tell Keedy in this matchup? Is there anything there that do you see? Can Keedy turn him over a little bit, I guess, is the question.
Well, I don't know if Keedy can turn them over. I think when you look at the numbers are very deceiving. He's not a guy who brings the ball down the floor and enters it to the wing and trots away. I mean, he's a guy who he is their offense. He's the one who initiates offense. He's the guy he's terrific at penetrating pitch. He gets the ball to the right people. He gets swallowed up by size sometimes, but I mean, most point guards do. But they rely so much on him creating offense. They don't run a lot of, staggers. They don't a lot of cross screens or diagonals or anything like that. It's more they move the ball, they move him. He'll pass it, go through, but he's going to come right out the other side, and they're going to reverse it to him, and he's going to take off with it. He is without a question. He's the engine that makes the train run. There's no doubt.
And then I was also wondering on a separate thing here, any reaction at all from the players about getting into the top 25 this week, or was that something maybe they didn't even notice or care about?
No, they know about it. They know about it. I don't think it made much difference one way or the other, to be honest with you.
Let's go back to Kevin Kinder.
That you've mentioned several times, that familiarization process, that understanding things, with all of your players, them getting together. Is that more on the offensive side or the defensive side with what you see? And maybe what's the 1 or 2 things you're hoping to see more improvement of?
Well, I think both. I think we're not near what we were in the past defensively. And obviously we're trying to get caught up on that end. You can live with bad shooting nights if you can guard. And so we've got to be able to guard, and probably particularly in light of the fact that we don't have guys that are that drive it to the rim. We don't have a Tariq, for instance, that drove it at the rim. We don't have that. But we have guys who are very capable of making shots and stretching the floor. But I don't think one is any more important than the other.
Back to Greg.
Bob, weather caused travel issues all over the place. I know a couple of your players didn't get out. Everybody got back okay? How bad was the travel problems for your team? Everybody reassemble in time? How'd that go?
No, we're good. They're all back. They're all back and anxious to go.
How'd you set things up when those guys couldn't get out and spend Christmas with their family? I guess Josh took in a couple of them.
Josh took a couple, they went, some went to Ryan's, you know, some went to with Larry's. Some went to my house, you know. They're fine. I mean, you know, we got really, we don't have a whole bunch of 18-year-olds. We got some grown ass men. They're fine with taking care of themselves.
Back to John.
Tomlin, he's got size. They've got two guys, 6'9", 6'10". What does Tomlin give him?
I think versatility.
Mm-hmm.
He can step outside and shoot it. He's really active around the rim. He really shows himself on cuts. He's the receiver of a lot of passes because he's always aware. He's ultra athletic. He just doesn't really have a position. He has just multiple positions.
Last one from me. Do you like the time off that you had from your last game to now? It looks like Kansas State did the same thing, or would you rather play the game between then and now?
Probably rather have played a game.
Mm-hmm. Any concerns conditioning wise?
No, we've gone at it. We've gone at it pretty good. We'll be fine, and our depth is pretty good.
Back to Justin.
Yeah, excuse me, sorry. Coach, on Emmett, what kind of impact, was he, when he got back to practice, was he back to his old self? And is this knee thing, I mean, when it happened, it looked very awkward. I mean, is this something that might kind of just something he has to deal with the entire year, or, kind of what's the situation with there?
I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine. It's just old people like you, Justin, that, bang their knee and then they hobble around for months.
I don't know if I've ever bit my knee like the way he did. That looked pretty bad.
Well, you don't have to do it that bad, when you're old and feeble, you don't have to bang it real hard. He's fine. I mean, he's, thank goodness it wasn't a tear. It was a bruise.
Right.
And there is not any different than a bruise on your arm, your elbow, your, whatever. He's fine.
Go to Bob Hertzel.
Yeah, Coach, you got a bunch of old guys, you say, on the team, including the coach. What's the advantage of that? And is there any disadvantage to it?
I don't know what the disadvantage would be other than, if it would prohibit their mobility or their ability to get to the ball, but I don't think that's the case. They've seen a lot of things, so it's not whatever they throw at us. I think we'll have people who have a better recognition of that, of what happened in the past and what you need to do to attack it. We don't have a Deschambeau. You know, they knew everything. Darius Nichols knew everything. And they were really good at conveying that to others and getting guys where they were supposed to be. You know, our guys, I think, because they've had so many different ways of doing things. We may not all do things the same way, but I think the end result ends up being pretty close to the same.
There a sense of urgency, you think, on, you know, with some of these guys who, you know, this is their going to be probably their last chance to do anything, and as far as the college tournaments go.
Yeah, well, you know, we're not as old as what it seems like we are. You know, Eric for sure, Keedy for sure. I mean, this is it for them. They have no eligibility left. The majority of our guys, even though they've spent time other places and have played college basketball for a while, they still have eligibility left. So I think, you know, they have a little something to look forward to, you know, providing that's what they want to do. Those couple guys, 2 or 3 guys, whatever it is, this is it, man. You know, when this season ends, it's over. It's kind of like Gabe said, you know, Gabe was in here every day after the season was over with. You know, he was lost. You know, what do you do without him? And I mean, I'll be honest, I experienced that. You know, you go in the gym and you're in there, you're getting shots up and you're going through workout like you always did. And then all of a sudden it hits you. What the hell am I doing this for? You know? So I think we have a lot of guys, a lot more guys than what I think people would think, that have a lot to look forward to.
Let's go back to John.
Yeah, I have one more here. You know, in the past, you could probably get a little advanced work done by looking at last year's games, but with the way things are going now, that's kind of gone by the wayside. I mean, literally, virtually anything you did against them last year is meaningless this year with a whole new rosters for basically both teams.
It's a lot of film out there, John.
Yeah.
Gotta look for it. I mean, you can find stuff that would have been impossible in years past. We've got, I think we've got virtually every game they played. So,
Yeah.
you know, they've got every game we've played.
I mean, how much can you get that fall down the rabbit hole there? I mean, I know you want to get as much information as you want. You want to prepare as much as you want, but I mean, how much do you get a point of diminishing returns?
Well, that ESPN Plus is a big ass rabbit hole.
So you go down it.
That's about as big a rabbit hole as you can get now.
Rabbit hole and whack-a-mole.
Yeah, and a lot of upset people in Southern West Virginia that they can't get the game.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So how many games have you watched of these guys?
I don't think those ESPN people, John, want to make a trip to Southern West Virginia anytime soon.
How many games have you watched of Kansas State so far?
Pretty much all of them.
Watched all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Coach? Coach, I think that's it. Appreciate your time today.
That's always a pleasure.
Thanks everyone for calling in.